to my channel. Today is going to be a how-to video, how to make black walnut tincture. And I have quite a few videos on this topic, but it is one that never gets old for me, being that black walnuts are my probably favorite plant ally. So I have picked my hulls, Hulls, and this green part is what I want to use to make my extract or tincture. Inside is a hard seed, and just like you would crack a bowl of nuts if you went to the grocery store and bought a whole bunch of nuts and used a nut cracker, inside there is that nut that can be cracked and the walnut enjoyed. These nuts do not crack easily with a nut cracker. You have to use a hammer or a good sized rock. They are very, very, very hard. If you are going to enjoy the nuts, I recommend that after this part is cleaned off, that you dry the inside nut shell first before cracking. We did this one year where we collected all the hulls and we actually let them break down, decompose, stomped on them, because you really want to get the whole hull off. And then we took the inner nut, which is blackish brown, the shell of the inner nut, and we washed, then dried. We dried on racks, and then in the winter we enjoyed them. It was a lot of work, and we only did it one time. So today though, I'm going to show you how I make my extract for my own personal reserves. I'm using a glass bottle that I saved. I have a knife and my hulls, a cutting board, and I'm not going to wear gloves today because I do not have an extra pair right now, so my hands will get stained. So if you do not want your hands to be stained, you really need to have a pair of gloves, but I'm okay with that. It washes off in a few days. I worked with black walnut in the powder form, which is the hull dried and ground up into a powder, and when it dries and is ground, it's black, so it's not green like this. And I would take capsules whenever I had a fungal outbreak, and if you ever had one, you know what I mean. You're either itchy, uncomfortable, your digestion feels off, and so that with probiotics and another herb, podarco, is what I did for years. Then I began making the extract, and then I would use the extract right on my tongue or in a cup of hot tea. And I would use the juice of the hull on my skin if I had a skin outbreak. And I would save these hulls in my freezer so that I always had them in the winter time. I definitely do not use black walnut as much as I used to, but it is still my favorite. It was like my first favorite safety plant, I guess. And so I continue to make this. I continue to make it for friends. So my jar is pretty much full. I am adding vodka, and people always ask me what I use. I do not drink alcohol, so I know very little about alcohol. This is 80 proof. This is New Amsterdam. It is a glass bottle. I buy middle shelf vodka, not top shelf, because of price, but I don't want bottom shelf, which is super cheap. I'm filling up my entire jar here, and I have just a teeny bit left. This is going to turn black. And I'll have to save that little bit for something else, but I use middle shelf vodka out of a glass jar, 80 proof, and that is a very long preservative. I don't really even like to, I'm going to throw these in my woods here. I don't even like to use vodka to make extracts. I like to use apple cider vinegar or vegetable glycerin, but certain extracts work better if you use alcohol because of their chemical properties. The solvent has to be stronger, and the hulls are one of them. Plus, it does have this really long shelf life when you use alcohol. If you have an extract with alcohol and you don't want the alcohol, you drop your drops into a steaming cup of tea. After you boil your water to make tea, you drop your drops in and the alcohol does evaporate off, and then you still have the medicinal component. And I do that for my alcohol tinctures. So right now I just have a few more of these hulls. I'm just cutting them up and I'm going to put them in my freezer because, like I said, they are great in the winter when you can no longer get them. And I've even made the extract in the wintertime from the frozen pieces when I have run out. And it will add more water content to your extract, so I didn't add any water to this. If you freeze the hull, you will have an added water content because they do melt. I mean, I guess it's weird, and they do sometimes collect some ice in the freezer. But that's okay. Sometimes I have made this extract and I have put water in with the alcohol. I do not do exact measurements. I am a simpler's approach herbalist. That's what Rosemary Gladstar called herself. There is an approach called that, simplers, and that is me. I'm not a good baker because I don't follow baking instructions, especially when it comes to using sugar, because I refuse to use as much sugar as most baked recipes call for. So simpler approach is non-scientific, but it works. It's kind of like learning how to cook, and once you know the recipe, you can modify and adjust because you're used to the ingredients. And that's, I guess, the way I work with a lot of my herbs because I've worked with them so much. They're just like another food to me. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to finish cutting these last two. Like, subscribe, hit the bell button, and comment down below. And please check out all of my links. And I don't always go into detailed description about them, but my first one is my Etsy, or my second one, because I now have my first one as my sign up for my newsletter and get my free ebook, All You Need to Know About Making Herbal Tea. And then I have 3 books I self-published on Amazon. They're in my description down below. One's a children's book, one is the tea book as a booklet, and the other is an art journaling book. I also have a link for Mountain Rose Herb, which is a great herbal resource for bulk herbs and has very good high quality herbs that it's a very sustainable company I like a lot. And I have a number of other links. And just stay tuned for updates. I am writing another book I hope to have out this winter. It's pretty much like 101 things that I learned being an herbalist. I have to come up with a better title, but all the little tips I've learned in the last 20 years that, if I knew, would have shortcutted a lot of time and money. So thank you so much for coming and staying through to the end.